when you can start to see that you can actually write your own story, like quite literally without doing a damn thing different, you can start to think differently. You can force yourself to think in ways that you haven't before. And all of a sudden, all of these weird, wacky, wonderful things start popping up.
Welcome to the Super Clinic Project Podcast, Coach's Corner Edition. Ready to boost your practice by 10,000 in just 10 minutes? Join your coaches, Jennifer and Tracey, for fast improvement strategies that drive real results. Let's get started.
Welcome to the Super Clinic Project Podcast, where we take regular clinic owners and we turn them into super clinic owners. Today, you're here with me, Jennifer Glegerich, and our other Super Clinic host, Tracey Sundquist, neuroscience expert and fellow business consultant and coach, to help you add $10,000 to your business within 10 minutes. Join us today for our Coach's Corner. Our topic is prepare to be wrong. So failure is inevitable in any businesses, but being stuck is an option. You don't have to be stuck. Tracey, let's start it off. Why do we have to prepare to be wrong?
Well, because we get very, very used to wanting to be right, needing to be right, and positioning why we're right? It's all about being right and just being open. And this isn't even for anybody else, just to be open for ourselves to say, well, how many ways could I be wrong? That takes a bit of practice.
It does. It does. And when we're talking about it, we all will fail, right? It's just if you think about, well, what if I fail? There are ways to fail forward, and then there are ways to just put your finger on the red button and flail around and just self-destruct, right? So we're talking about how to avoid self-destructing, how to avoid not letting everything go down the tubes because what you thought would happen did not happen at all. You also have to open yourself up to the idea that other people may be right. Maybe it wasn't you, right? And there's a tightrope that we walk as business owners, right? We're the leaders, we're the captains of the ship, but yet we also have to admit when we're wrong, and we have to allow other voices to help us continue to innovate. Can you talk about this as a neuroscience expert? Because I know that's very hard to be in that space where you can be in that kind of try to get into that neutral area where you're not, well, I'm the boss, and so this is what we're going to do.
When it comes to the science of it, there's that saying, neurons that fire together, wire together. And what it's really talking about is having things become habit. So you don't have to think about it anymore because it's almost automated. Now, the problem with us as human beings, and specifically when it comes to business ownership, is that the results that you are getting is a consequence of what you're doing, what you're thinking. And if you're in a place where you aren't getting the kind of results that you want, you need to be able to say, if this has to start with me, what beliefs am I holding right now that is actually preventing me from seeing opportunities or identifying risks or, just being open to information that is there? Because when it comes to reality, we all think that we know what's real, right? Our reality is like this, it's objective. And very sad to say that it's the biggest lie that we tell ourselves. And that my reality is a construct of how I have put the world together. And just like you, Jennifer, your reality is a construct of the meaning that you give things that are happening. So in the one hand, that's scary as hell because you can get it really wrong. But on the other hand, it also opens up such incredible opportunity because when you can start to see that you can actually write your own story, like quite literally without doing a damn thing different, you can start to think differently. You can force yourself to think in ways that you haven't before. And all of a sudden, all of these weird, wacky, wonderful things start popping up. And I think that's really what life is about, not just running a successful business, but, showing up and being engaged in what you're doing and ultimately having things work out because of your willingness to not be so fixed.
Yeah. And being open, or the power of maybe they're right. Maybe I'm wrong. We had another guest here on Super Clinic Project Podcast, and she had went to a mastermind group. She had paid a lot of money. We're talking, it was like $20,000 a plate to be able to get with this guru. And she had, everybody there really wanted their expertise and experience. Everybody got their time talking to him. And the guy turned to her and said, "You're never going to be successful in your business because you're a perfectionist." And she said, in that split second, a million things went in my head. Humiliation. I was embarrassed. He said this in front of a bunch of peers. Why did I pay a bunch of money for this? And then she said, there's a voice that said, well, you can either obsess over what he just said and stagnate yourself, but is it true? And you can get over it. And you can do that now, or you can delay the inevitable and suffer. And she said, and the words out of her mouth, she said, this all happened within a split second. She said, "Done. I will no longer let that hold me back." And she said, everybody just looked at her. She goes, "I'm not going to obsess over it. You're right. Done. I didn't pay all this money to get this." And she said, and then she literally started working against her natural thing to have everything perfect. And she became known as like the messy maven of multi-million-dollar turnarounds. And she said, because I could tell the truth of that, and I didn't let myself get in my own way. And after that, I realized that we do have the power to say that. We do have the power to go, "Done. I'm not going to obsess over it anymore." She said it was another thing happened with like a weight issue. And I don't know, I think hers was being underweight or whatever. And someone had told her that. And she goes, "Well, I can either, let myself get sick or not dwell, but done." And she just made those changes. And of course, this is a very strong person. But at the same time, if you hear that something of value, that's something I would bring into your thing. Don't obsess over something if you know it to be true. Just say, "Okay, done. We're going to get it fixed. No matter the way or the how, we'll figure that out. We'll get to the other side."
Take some of that judgment out. Because it doesn't matter if, we're going down the route of right and wrong, which I hate to do as a coach because there's so much judgment in "you were wrong." So I'm really just peeling off the BS layers that we would say to ourselves rather than as a coach to someone who I'm coaching. Because in that space, it's more around what is serving you and what is not serving you. So when you can start to look at your behavior from a perspective of, is this behavior helping me get where I want to get to? Then it's not a case of I'm doing something wrong or I'm holding myself back. Is what I'm doing helping or hurting me? There's no judgment in that. So if you can kind of flip things to start looking at it from that perspective, then it's not a case of having to defend anything. It's just a case of, well, yeah, my perfectionism is really holding me back. Let's see, if they're done, what do I need to do now? How am I going to make sure that when that perfectionism bug bites, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. I'm just going to say, no, sorry, that was the old me. This is a new me, and the new me is moving forward.
Yeah, and in the context of failure, a lot of you guys know, if you follow me, I talk about it. My son's going off to college. We had the parent orientation, and one of the things they said to all the parents is, your child will fail. We know you're used to your child it's a very intense program that he was able to be in. We know your kids are valedictorians. We know your kids are straight A students. Your kids will experience failure here, and that's okay. That's when they're going to hit their biggest growth. You need to be able to support them without overwhelming them. And here are, they gave a ton of resources just for parents for that. And I thought, that's so nice. We need to do that in business too. You're going to fail. There's going to be things you're going to fail on. But those failures will get you to your biggest growth. So let us, Tracey and I, be here as a support to you. Remember that you can reach out to us at any time. I know we're at the end of our 10 minutes, but go to superclinicproject.com, click on either one of our pictures, and you can have a free session with us. If you've had a failure, you want to know, well, how do I go to done and get over that to the next level? Just let us know. Be sure to follow, share, rate us 5 stars, all the good things that we ask you to do every single time. Tracey, do you have anything to say before we wrap it up?
I just love that. That done. I think if that's one little piece to take into your day or your night or, wherever you're positioned, it's just give yourself permission to be done with stuff.
Yeah. And that isn't even mine. I feel bad that I cannot remember which guest it was, but I don't care. If we hear good golden nuggets, we're going to bring it out to you guys. Just watch every single one of our episodes, and then you're going to hear that again. So anyway, guys, have a great week. See you on, well, remember, we're on Coach's Corner Tuesdays and Thursdays. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Super Clinic Project Podcast, Coach's Corner Edition. If you would like to work with Jennifer or Tracey to 2 or 10x your business, then go to superclinicproject.com and click on either Jennifer or Tracey's photograph to book a complimentary session. Your greatest breakthrough is just a session away.